The phone buzzed again at 2:47 a.m., rattling on the nightstand like an insect trapped in glass. Sophie moved fast, faster than a half-asleep wife should. She slipped out of bed without a word, padded barefoot across the hardwood, and shut herself in the bathroom. I lay in the dark, listening. The faint echo of her whispering voice bounced off the tiles. It wasn't long, maybe 40, 50 seconds. Enough to raise every hair on my arms. When she came back, her skin felt cold against the sheets. She pressed a quick kiss to my shoulder and murmured, almost rehearsed, "Work emergency. Go back to sleep. Work emergency. At 3 in the morning." Interior designers don't handle midnight crises. No one panics over wallpaper samples at that hour. Sophie ran a boutique downtown. Overpriced pillows, exotic rugs, furniture imported from places she couldn't pronounce correctly. Her emergencies should have involved delivery trucks, not hushed calls from hotel bathrooms. I stared at the ceiling, accountant brain humming, cataloging inconsistencies. The receipts I'd seen, the meetings that ran too late, the perfume that wasn't hers, and this was just another entry in the ledger. Over the past few weeks, I had tracked it all. Late client dinners, sudden new dresses she claimed were on sale, charges on our joint account from restaurants we'd never set foot in, all patterns, all leading somewhere ugly. When I confronted her last Thursday, she didn't flinch. She just tilted her head, eyes glassy with practiced innocence. "You're paranoid," she'd said. Paranoid. But paranoia, I've always believed, is just pattern recognition with extra anxiety. And if there's one thing I know how to do, it's follow patterns until the numbers balance. The next morning, while Sophie breezed out in a cream coat I didn't recognize, I called Simon Garrett. He's an ex-cop turned private investigator. Not the cheap kind you find in the back pages. The quiet, meticulous type. "Cheating spouse?" Simon asked, his voice carrying that gravelly, seen-it-all tone. "Maybe," I said. "I need proof. Not just suspicion." By that evening, Simon had what I both expected and dreaded. Photographs. Sophie at a bistro, laughing across a candlelit table, her hand brushing the arm of a man I didn't know, at least not yet. Then another photo, Sophie leaning into him, lips too close. Another, the two of them slipping into a hotel, her hair wild in the wind, her smile too young, too alive. The man's name, Elliot Fisher, 38, drives a Porsche. Divorced once already. Salesman at the BMW dealership where Sophie had bought her car last winter. Of course, the salesman, always smiling, always handing out compliments like candy. Simon's file was clean, efficient. Restaurant dates 3 times a week, hotels booked under Elliot's name. Receipts matched Sophie's vague excuses. 2 months of betrayal, logged neatly like an audit. One detail burned worse than the rest. In the photos, she wore the blue silk dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. That night, she texted me around midnight. "Working late. Don't wait up." I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered, then typed the only reply that wouldn't give me away. "Love you." 2 words, a placeholder, a lie waiting to rot. The storm hadn't even broken yet, but I could already hear the first thunder rolling in. The manila envelope sat on my desk like a verdict. Simon had delivered it in person, a faint smell of cigarettes clinging to the papers inside. He didn't linger, just dropped it off, gave me a look that said, "I've seen this 100 times before," and left. I stared at it for an hour before I had the courage to open it. Inside, photographs, receipts, hotel bookings, credit card slips. A forensic trail of betrayal, each page weighted with the smug grin of Elliot Fisher. In one photo, Sophie's head was thrown back in laughter, hair catching the candlelight. Another showed Elliot leaning close, his hand on the small of her back, his lips at her ear. And then, the ugliest. Sophie stepping into a hotel lobby beside him, her hand hooked loosely around his arm like it belonged there. The timestamps were merciless. 2 nights ago, a week before that, twice the month before. No room for denial, no space left for "you're imagining things." I stacked the evidence neatly because order comforts me. Pages squared, corners aligned. Betrayal sorted into columns like figures in a ledger. But when I reached the last photo, my hands shook. Sophie in the blue silk dress, the one I'd bought for our anniversary, wrapped in tissue paper, tied with silver ribbon. She had worn it once for me, and now she wore it for him. That image was the nail in the coffin. At dinner, I tried to act normal. Sophie served pasta, humming some pop song off-key. Her phone buzzed twice on the counter. She didn't check it, but her eyes flicked there, quick, instinctive. "How was work?" she asked, sliding the parmesan across the table. "Busy," I said. My voice sounded calm, like I'd practiced it. She smiled, but her mind was somewhere else. Her fork hovered, her gaze drifting. She was already with him. Later that night, while she showered, I slid her phone from her purse. The passcode was our wedding date. Cute. Predictable. The messages were there. Not pages, not novels, but enough. Elliot. "Miss you already. Tomorrow? Same place." A handful of emojis. Secrets shrunk down to digital shorthand. I set the phone back exactly as I found it, every detail in place. Then I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling again, counting the fan blades. She thought she was clever. She thought she was in control. But she had forgotten who I am. I live in numbers, in systems, in patterns. I know how to follow money until it reaches the right account. I know how to see the flaw in the balance sheet. Sophie's affair wasn't a romantic storm sweeping her away. It was sloppy math. And sloppy math always collapses. That night I decided, this wouldn't end with me begging or bargaining. No desperate tears, no second chances. I wasn't going to be the fool who got cheated on. I was going to be the man who turned the ledger around. By Monday, Simon's updates arrived like clockwork. He had been tailing Elliot for days, noting every erratic movement, every glance over his shoulder. Small scratches on his Porsche appeared and disappeared overnight, minor but unnerving. GPS anomalies, misplaced keys, mysterious calls that hung up after 10 rings. Simon reported it all with meticulous precision. Elliot was unraveling, though he didn't know why. Fear makes people sloppy. Fear makes people visible. Meanwhile, I worked on Clara Jennings, Sophie's supposed best friend and confidant, the one who always had a kind word and a smug smile. Simon had dug into her social media, LinkedIn posts, tagged photos, client lists. Her ego was enormous, and the hunger for recognition was obvious. I created a fake persona, a high-level New York boutique marketing executive, someone impressive, vague enough to be plausible. My messages were careful, praise for her work, hints at opportunity, questions designed to draw information without suspicion. Clara took the bait. Within hours, she was sending me her portfolio, client gossip, even Sophie's behavioral patterns. Every secret delivered willingly, unaware of its future use. While Clara fed me information, Elliot stumbled. By Wednesday, Simon reported that he had installed a security camera in his garage and begun checking his office multiple times a day. I made subtle tweaks, GPS markers adjusted, harmless detours, minor software glitches in his navigation, just enough to make him question reality. By Thursday, the psychological pressure was mounting. Sophie noticed nothing directly from me, only subtle ripples. I seeded minor rumors about her focus, her reliability, using my fake executive persona to reach several boutique clients. "Maybe there's something distracting her," I said into casual calls. Nothing concrete, just heard whispers. Gossip travels fast. By Friday, Sophie was twitchy. Clients arrived early, asked pointed questions, lingered in doorways. Clara's panic calls began. Sophie couldn't understand the sudden confusion. People are acting weird. Questions about my business, Why now? I listened quietly, noting every detail. Her anxiety was a tool, an amplifier for what was coming. The storm wasn't visible yet, but the first lightning bolts had struck. Saturday morning, Sophie prepared for her boutique event with frantic precision. Displays polished, catering confirmed, social media posts scheduled. She texted updates trying to sound upbeat, but tension lingered in her words. At 3 p.m., Clara called in a panic, Sophie's voice trembling on the line. I knew from Simon's monitoring. Half the invitees had canceled, influencers pulled back, and the boutique's social atmosphere was crumbling. Everything I had set in motion, the subtle nudges, the careful manipulations, the fear seeded into Elliot, converged. Sophie's world teetered on the edge, poised to collapse, and I sat back, patient, methodical, letting patterns do their work. I had learned the truth long ago. People betray themselves long before anyone forces them. The storm, at last, was rolling in. The BMW dealership gleamed under the late afternoon lights. Polished floors, chrome curves reflecting overhead fluorescence, and the faint scent of leather and new car polish filled the air. Elliot was there, smiling at potential buyers, the picture of composure. I watched from across the showroom, adjusting my tie, leather folder tucked under my arm, looking every bit the serious client. He spotted me immediately, that smooth, practiced charm, the $1,000,000 smile stretched across his face. He approached, hand extended. Good evening, sir. Elliot Fisher. Looking for anything special tonight? Actually, yes, I said evenly, shaking his hand firmly. I'm looking for answers. His smile flickered. Just a fraction, enough to show the cracks. I'm sorry? He asked. I opened my folder and laid out the first photograph. Sophie in his arms outside the Marriott downtown. His face went pale. Where shall we discuss this? I asked softly. Your office or somewhere public? He glanced around the showroom, eyes darting to employees and browsing clients. Forced smile back in place, he muttered, My office. Inside, the atmosphere changed. Doors closed, locks clicked. Elliot's bravado faltered. Who the hell are you? He demanded. Sophie's husband, I said simply. The words landed like a hammer. He staggered, knocked over a coffee mug. Brown liquid pooled over contracts and glossy brochures. Look, man, I didn't know. Married? I interrupted. 8 years, living in my house, sleeping in my bed. Elliot's face flushed. She said she was divorced. She lied. I produced another photo, Sophie wearing her wedding ring taken last week. Repeatedly, convincingly. His hands shook as he picked it up. This is impossible. What's impossible is how stupid you've been, I said, crossing my legs, calm, calculating. You really thought she'd choose you without ulterior motives? You spent $12,000 on her in 2 months. Hotels, dinners, jewelry, weekend trips. Your ex-wife left you for a reason. And that Porsche, leased, not owned. Credit issues, right? He froze, face pale, fists clenching. For a moment, I thought he might strike. Then he sagged, deflated. I'm a forensic accountant, I continued. Finding hidden money is my work. And now, you'll stop seeing Sophie. Delete her number. Pretend this conversation never happened. Or... I left the threat hanging, unspoken, but heavy. Elliot's voice cracked. She said she loved me. Maybe. But not enough, I said, gathering my materials. And if you ever contact her again, it'll be worse than a ruined career. The drive to the boutique was short. Simon waited in the car, engine humming. I glanced through the windows, Sophie alone, devastated among overturned displays, remnants of catering and decorations. Clara's car had just pulled away. Perfect. She had unknowingly fed me everything I needed, amplifying the social collapse I'd orchestrated. I stepped out of Simon's car. Tonight, it would all converge. The boutique door chimed as I stepped inside. Sophie sat among toppled displays, wilted flowers, scattered invitations. Her makeup was streaked, cheeks darkened with tears. She looked up, startled. "Michael?" she whispered. "What are you doing here?" "I heard about the event. Thought you might need help cleaning up." She gestured helplessly at the chaos. "Everything just fell apart. People didn't show. The ones who did left early. I don't understand what went wrong." I bent to pick up a toppled picture frame, examining the glass. "Sometimes things fall apart, Sophie." Usually for a reason. Her eyes narrowed. "What reason?" Instead of answering, I pulled out my phone, swiping to the first photograph. Her face drained of color. "Where did you get this?" "Does it matter?" I swiped to the next image, the hotel, the restaurant, the dealership. 2 months of evidence laid out chronologically. Sophie's legs gave way. She sank into a chair, staring at the screen in disbelief. "Michael, I can explain." "No need. I already know everything she tried to charm me, the same way she had for months. It meant nothing. I was lonely, and you were always working late. He made me feel—" "Special?" I interrupted. "Desired. Appreciated." "Exactly," I said. "I understand that. I also understand you destroyed our marriage for a car salesman with gambling debts and a cocaine habit." Sophie froze. "How do you know about the cocaine?" "Forensic accountant," I said simply. "Follow the money." Patterns are obvious. I walked among her boutique, noting expensive fabrics, designer furniture, artwork, all funded with money I'd helped her secure, loans I'd co-signed, a reputation I'd built. "Clara has been very helpful," I said casually. Sophie's head snapped up. "What do you mean?" "She's ambitious, hungry for bigger opportunities. Amazing how much people reveal when they think they're talking to a potential employer," realization dawned. "You bastard." "Fair," I said. "But honest." My phone buzzed. Simon. "Elliot just left the dealership, driving fast, looks agitated." "On his way here?" "Probably." Sophie's fear sharpened. "Let him come." Time for the final act. 15 minutes later, Elliot's Porsche screeched into the parking lot. He burst in, disheveled, suit wrinkled, hair wild. "Sophie!" Someone came to the dealership, a husband with photos. He stopped when he saw me. "Hello, Elliot." Rough evening. Recognition, confusion, rage flickered across his face. "You son of a—" "Language," I said calmly. Sophie stood between us. "Stop. This is insane." "Insane is thinking you could carry on this affair without consequences," I said. Elliot lunged, swinging wildly. I sidestepped, letting momentum carry him into a display of throw pillows. "Elliot!" Sophie screamed. He scrambled up, rage and embarrassment mixing. "Harassment! I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said. "They'll hear about your affair with a married woman. About how you fund it. About the patterns that exposed you." Elliot froze. He had more to hide than the affair. My phone buzzed again. Simon. Clara's post was already public, documenting everything, leaving Sophie and Elliot exposed. Sophie whispered, "She's destroying me." "No," I said. "You destroyed yourself. Clara is just documenting the wreckage." The boutique felt like a tomb. Rain hammered the windows, each drop a sharp percussion against the glass. Inside, Sophie sat motionless among ruined displays, wilted flowers, scattered catering trays, her beauty marred by exhaustion and tears. Elliot paced like a caged predator, every gesture tight with frustration and panic. "We can fix this," he said, desperation creeping into his voice. "Go somewhere new, start over. We can rebuild." Sophie laughed bitterly, a sound that cut through the air like broken glass. "With what money?" "My business is finished. My reputation destroyed. I have savings." "Stolen savings," I interjected smoothly, "all of which you'll need for legal fees once your boss reviews those expense reports." Elliot spun toward me, eyes wide, wild. You set me up. I documented your crimes, Elliot. There's a difference. Sophie, quiet, looked at me. Her voice was low, almost pleading. What do you want? Money? The house? Just tell me what you want. I studied her carefully, the woman I'd loved for 8 years, the woman I'd trusted completely. She looked small now, diminished, like a beautiful facade stripped to its skeleton. I want you to understand something, I said evenly. You both thought you were clever, careful. Meeting in hotels, using cash, creating elaborate lies. But you forgot the most important thing. Which is, Elliot sneered, masking fear with arrogance. I'm smarter than both of you combined. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recording app, and hit play. Elliot's voice filled the boutique. She said she was divorced. Said her husband was emotionally abusive, never paid attention to her. Sophie's voice followed, trembling but clear. He is abusive. Michael's always working, never shows me affection. I felt dead inside until I met you. More recordings played. 2 months of conversations captured with long-range microphones and strategic surveillance. Sophie complaining about our marriage, Elliot bragging about his conquest, both plotting their future while living off my money. Stop, Sophie whispered. Please. But I wasn't finished. I opened my laptop, connected to the boutique Wi-Fi, a password she had shared months ago, and accessed her business accounts. What are you doing? She asked. Giving your clients the truth. I posted recordings to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Not intimate moments, but conversations showing Sophie's true opinions of her clients and Elliot's manipulative sales tactics. Within minutes, notifications exploded on her phone. Angry messages, shocked clients, reputation collapsing in real time. You planned this? Sophie sobbed, angry tears now. Not everything. I didn't plan for you to cheat. That was your choice. She pointed at me, shaking. You manipulated Clara. Your friend manipulated herself. I just provided the opportunity. She chose to betray you, Elliot, desperate, stepped forward. Look, man, I'm sorry about your marriage. Leave me out of this too late. I presented bank records proving he'd embezzled from the dealership for months, funding gifts and trips for Sophie. Your boss sees this Monday unless you disappear. Forget Sophie exists. Blackmail, he cried. Consequences. Something you've avoided until now. Outside, Simon honked twice. Clara's car pulled into the lot. She burst in, face flushed, panic written across her features. Sophie! That executive. He's not real. Someone's been playing games. She stopped short, seeing Elliot and me standing together. You're the fake executive? She accused, voice trembling. Guilty. But technically, I scripted it. Sophie, overwhelmed, looked between us. What's happening? Clara crumpled, guilt and fear mingling. I'm sorry, Sophie. I told him everything. Meetings, hotels, everything. You promised secrecy, Sophie shrieked. He offered me a job in New York. I thought it was real. Because you wanted it to be real, I said. People see what benefits them. 3 people stood in the ruined boutique, their conspiracies exposed, futures uncertain. Sophie's business destroyed, Elliot facing criminal charges, Clara's reputation in tatters. I felt, not satisfaction exactly, but a completeness, like finishing a complex equation months in the making. This is what happens, I said quietly, when you underestimate people, when you think you're smarter than everyone else, when you forget actions have consequences. Sophie shook, sobbing. I loved you, Michael. Really did. Maybe. But not enough. I moved to the door, pausing. Oh, and Sophie? I've changed the locks. Your things will be on the lawn by morning. You can't do that? Actually, I can. House is in my name. Check the deed, Elliot's last defiance. This isn't over. I turned to him. Yes, Elliot. It is rain fell harder. Through the windows, the three of them stood in the wreckage of their choices. Simon's engine hummed. "How do you feel?" he asked. Not happy, not triumphant, but complete. The books were balanced. Justice had been served by my own hands. The paranoia was gone. In its place, something colder, harder, infinitely honest.